are here with Tim with Jolla Pools, and today we're going to talk about pools. We're going to talk about the construction of pools. We're not really going to talk about the maintenance of it. We'll touch on it a little bit, but I think this is really to help you get a better understanding if you do want to put a pool in your home, really kind of what the trends are, what's going on with it, some ideas on maybe having a pool house, some kind of fun stuff like that. So definitely watch to the end, and we'll definitely get a lot of your questions answered. But the first thing I always like to do, Tim, is I like our audience to be able to know really who you are, where you come from, and why are you an expert in your industry. So
Perfect. Well, thank you, and thank you for this
you're
opportunity,
welcome.
Christina. So a little bit about myself. I start off life with as a engineer, electrical engineering, software engineering, and heavily engineering background. I worked for Motorola and some high-tech companies. I migrated into the pool industry, and I just love it. You know, to me, pools are a thing of beauty. I always equate it to humans are north of 80% water, and I think we have a natural affiliation with water, and
Yeah.
I just love it. We all have felt the calming influence of being around water, around a pool. I mean, here in San Diego, you know, what is the price of an ocean view?
Right.
Right? This really shows you the value of water and how compelling water is. And, you know, okay, we have an ocean view in La Jolla. What can we do more? Well, let's add a pool with an ocean view.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that we see, one of the compelling designs that are relatively new that we see now are these infinity pools, where you see the pool just goes into the almost into the horizon, and then we have it going into the ocean. And I mean, it's beautiful. It just
That's great.
is beautiful. Some of the other features that we'll add in there are I love grottos. I love
Yeah.
grottos with a waterfall. You have a private little area inside your hot tub
Mm-hmm.
with the grotto coming over it. Kids can use it to dive off of.
Yeah.
We've built slides into them, all sorts of
Oh
things
my
along
gosh,
that.
that's amazing. What do you think some of the key factors one of your customers would need to consider when they're constructing their pool with you?
Well, the first thing that everyone asks about is budget. What does a pool cost? And
Yeah,
certainly this is a concern,
absolutely.
but there's other concerns as well, and that's how maintainable is that pool? Some other concerns are the features you're going to have, and these are all dictated by what is the function of your pool?
Right.
There's some people that have a beautiful water feature. They don't really swim in the pool very
Yeah.
much. It's a water feature for them. When they look out their window, they see the pool, disappearing edge into the ocean, and it's just a brilliant feature. And it's a real selling point for the home, too, and you know it when you walk in there. Other people are looking for functions such as lap pools. They want to be able to swim laps. They're just looking for a narrow pool,
Right.
and they can swim that. So before starting with the budget, we say end with the budget. Start
Right.
with the function of the pool. What is it you want to have? Disappearing edges, infinity pools, these sort of things. One thing it's a newer trend, and I think it's a new old trend that's really cool, is that we see plexiglass pools, where we're doing a property right now in La Jolla. It's built on the side of a cliff, and so you're upstairs. You look down, you see the pool. You go to pool level,
Mm.
and there's one more level below that. And when you
Okay.
go in there, there's a bar area. You go in, and it's set up with plexiglass, so you can sit at this private bar and look, and you can look into the pool.
Okay.
And what this does, it has two features. One is the sun comes in, so it's natural lighting filtered through the pool, so it gives you this real cool effect when
That's
you're
really
under there
cool.
of the water, of the light dancing in the room. And then also you can look in and see the swimmers. And it reminds me of the movie Right Stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where the astronauts are in the bar, and it's got the bar is under the next to the pool under it, and you can see everyone swimming, and the guys are goofing around looking in the window. So I call it the human aquarium, but it's a really cool feature as well.
So when someone's, looking at their backyard, maybe they have a 5,000 square foot lot or a 10,000 square foot lot, how do they determine the size and the shape based on their needs?
Yeah, once again, thank you. And that's a factor of function. What is it you want this pool to be? Do you
Okay.
want the pool to be as big as possible in the backyard? You have a certain function, such as you want to swim laps in it. You have children. You're going to put a slide there. You want to have a grotto. One of the other big features that we get a lot of requests for are these Baja shelves.
Okay.
And you're probably familiar with them,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully the audience will be too. It's about 3 feet deep, one and a half to 3 feet, and people just put their put chairs in it, and they sit there, and you can have mimosas or what have you, and you sit there, and it's a beautiful addition to your pool is a Baja shelf, and then often it goes into a deep end, so you can stand on the Baja shelf, ankle deep in water, and then dive off into the deep area as well. So it's really a factor of function.
Okay.
What is it you want your pool to do? And then we recommend really looking at the landscape, hardscape, because we've seen issues with, I'm going to use maple trees. Not that we really have those in San
Yeah.
Diego, but maple trees. The
palm
first,
trees.
yeah, right. Well, palm trees,
Yeah.
and then you have the palm nuts drop
Right.
into the pool, and
Right.
so this causes a maintenance problem and
Yeah.
a problem keeping that pool clean, keeping the water clear. So you really have to consider what your hardscape and landscaping is going to look around
Yeah.
it, and so that's something you should talk about as well.
What would you say is, I think this is kind of a fun question, what would you say some of the trends are that are happening in pool design? Maybe give us 3 examples and then something to maybe be aware of when you are looking at what you're going to do?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So some of the trends are big. The infinity pools, the disappearing edge, the infinity pool is like the latest and greatest trend that's going on. A real fashion-forward trend is the plexiglass in the pool.
Mhm.
I've had requests for people that want to have the pool above their place, and they want to have plexiglass in
That's
it.
so cool.
And in La Jolla and in San Diego, we have this because our topology is such that you're building the pool and then you have an area below it typically. So you can put plexiglass in it, you can look into it, and that is like the most fashion-forward trend that I'm seeing right now.
Okay.
Disappearing edge, high-end glass tile is becoming very, very requested as well. The Baja shelf is another one. And then, if we're looking money, no object, you just made $1 billion off of Bitcoin. Now we've got the grotto and the ADU, which has become the pool house, or the pool house has become an ADU. If you look at what San Diego is signing off now, it's very easy to make an ADU a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Right.
And really you have just this really nice pool house.
Right.
2-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath pool house right on the pool site. And these are some of the things that people are integrating everything together in their personal oasis, is what I like to call. A lot of, and just one final thought, a lot of this is being driven by COVID. Even though we're out of it, it made people wake up that if I had to be, locked down, well, I want to be locked down in my personal oasis. And this is where we've seen just pool building explode here in San Diego.
So if, say I have a client and they purchase a home and they have a beautiful backyard and they want to put a pool, what is the system and process of getting the pool from beginning to end? Do they get a consultation? Do you measure? Could you kind of go through those steps with us just so that they can understand kind of how the process works?
Yeah, another excellent question. So we just did a consultation last Friday, and they called us out. They had just bought this home, and the home needed a full renovation. So they weren't living in the home; they were renovating everything, and I mean a full renovation from the inside out. And they wanted to add a pool as well. And so we came out, we measured the pool, we did some really nice 3D designs for them to show them,
that's
what
neat.
it was. And during the consultation, we work with them at what is it you're looking for, what do you want, back to, the form factor, are you gonna swim it? I mean, when you swim, are you gonna do laps in it? Is it for the kids to come and go swimming in? What is it that you're really looking for? So we worked with them there. The next thing is we do the design, we do a 3D design with the drawing. Then we go back and forth. It's an iterative process. We talk with our customers about that. The next step is to go to start pulling permits. Now, this is a harder question to answer because the permit process in San Diego is not the permit process in Carlsbad, which is not the permit process, say, in the county.
What's the average timeline of a
Well,
permit
see,
process?
I was afraid you were going to ask that. San Diego is taking, the city of San Diego takes an extreme amount of time.
Okay.
8 to 9 months.
That's actually not too bad.
Well,
I don't think so.
yeah.
Yeah. It's about the same as an ADU.
Well,
Yeah.
But say like in a place like Carlsbad or Oceanside, what we're seeing is it could be 2 to 3 months.
Okay. So then once you get the permit, what happens?
Well, once we get to the permit process, there's also something else we have to consider here in San Diego, and that's the soils report. Sometimes in La Jolla, we're building things into a cliff. We have to look at the soil. We have to make sure, and it's mostly sandstone out there. Are we drilling caissons? How many caissons? How deep? That sort of thing. So there's a big structural analysis that goes with that. let's say you're out in La Mesa and you've got something that, it's just a flat lot and the soil is well known. So that is straightforward. We can get an opinion on it from a geologist. This is what the soils report. We combine that whole thing and then we go to construction after that point and
Okay.
just kind of blow
So
it
what
out.
happens with construction? We can obviously live in the home during the
Yeah,
construction.
that's no problem.
What is the timeline? So they dig a hole, they lay
Yeah.
the,
Right.
how does
So,
it work?
some of the things on this, and now we're getting
Just
into
on a basic
yeah, on a
level.
basic level. So what we're looking at is the big thing is access because we have to get equipment in there,
Okay.
right? So we're going to need to have a backhoe and some other things to dig it. We dig the hole
Right.
based on what everyone's agreed on.
What do you
and-
do with the dirt?
Oh, that's interesting. We've had customers that wanted the dirt.
Interesting. So they
Yeah.
can keep it if they want.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
it's their dirt. We're just digging holes.
I love that.
It's your dirt.
I
You
know,
want
you
it,
can
you
do whatever
keep
you
it.
want with your
Yeah,
dirt.
or we'll take it.
They can, I guess, use it for landscaping and different things
There's
like that,
all
right?
kinds of
I
things you
can't
can
even
use
imagine.
dirt for.
That's like a whole nother interview, I
Yeah,
think.
that's actually a whole other industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dirt cheap.
It's dirt cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
So you dig the hole, you guys
we dig
figure out
the
what to do with
hole,
the dirt,
right.
and then they.
And then we put the rebar, the shotcrete, and
Okay.
then we plaster it and along those lines.
Okay. And how long does that usually take
So we can
on a standard size
on
pool?
a standard size pool, we can get that done in a couple of. I'm gonna say 8 weeks, 2
Okay.
months.
That's really quick. That's
So
great.
once we're able to get at it, to get the construction phase, that's when we can just go into full gear,
Okay.
right? Because I can't move the city. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things I can't make go
Mhm.
faster. But our construction crews, we can get in there and then we can knock it out. So
That's
I would say 8 weeks. If I had to sandbag, I would say max 3 months.
How long does it take for the pool to dry for us to be able to fill it up and actually swim in it?
So this is an excellent question because it changes, and this is something that I tell people buying a pool that you have to be aware of. We put plaster on it, the
Right.
plaster has to dry, but the plaster dries underwater.
Okay.
So it's a chemical process that the plaster can dry and cure underwater,
Wow.
and it takes a month. So at this point, typically, now La Jolla Pools, we do the startup.
Okay.
But a lot of pool companies, once it's done plastered and the water's full, they're out the door and they're
Right.
on to digging another hole.
Okay.
And this is something as an owner, a new owner, you have to be very aware of, that you negotiate into that who is going to do that opening. Because
Okay.
I've seen so many pools ruined where the plaster is soft, it's only been curing for a couple of days, they bring in the cheapest pool guy they can find, that guy puts a standard vacuum head on it, and it just cuts lines all the way into the
Wow.
plaster. So there's special brushes that we vacuum with. It takes a month, and we even have PDFs on how this
Okay.
cures and everything else. But that is something that when you hire a pool builder, hopefully you hire La Jolla Pools, San Diego, but if you don't, make sure you understand who's going to open that pool,
Right.
because from when they're done, the plaster's in, the water is in. The balancing is very, very touchy
Right.
at this point, because what happens is the water will take what it needs from the plaster, meaning if that water is low in calcium, it will seep the calcium out of the plaster. Now you'll have staining and everything else.
Okay.
So you really have to make sure that water is balanced. This is crucial at this point, and it's going to take a month. Can you swim in it during that month? You can. But for the first week or two, you probably shouldn't,
Okay.
Because as I said, that
Especially
plaster.
after spending that kind of money, I
Oh,
think
especially-
probably it's a really
yeah,
good
right.
idea just to wait
Right.
1 month after 8 months of waiting for your
Right.
permits and your
Right.
couple months of all of that. It's probably a year process, 1 month.
I would say one,
Definitely.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's worth waiting for. And there's different textures too, because there's the white marble plaster.
Right.
That's the entry level. Then there's Pebble or Pebble Tech that people use, and then there's this really nice glass tile that
Okay.
people put in too.
Yeah.
And so
I've seen
obviously
that.
the glass
It's pretty
tile doesn't need the curing time
Yeah.
that white marble plaster does.
So once a person is able to start swimming in their pool and they need to hire a maintenance person, because you guys do not do the
Mhm.
maintenance side of it, but you help all the way up to this point. What are some things to be aware of when they're searching for somebody to maintain their pool? Maybe some recommendations that you have about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So this is crucial because everything is easy until it's not. You know, you see a guy come out and he just does a few things and he walks away. You're like, well, why am I paying for this? And then all of a sudden you take it over. Your pool is green. Someone's not feeling well. And you're like, I can't get this thing fixed. And
Right.
we've had this in previous companies I've worked with. We've had this problem. And so this is when they call the guy back in. And I remember we were doing commercial work for apartment buildings and they had sister properties. So we were doing the one property. The sister property was having a problem. The pool kept going green. And what had happened was they had a maintenance guy that was fully trained in pools. He was so good, he gets promoted. So then the next guy takes over and they go, well, the other guy did the pool. You're going to do the pool. So he tried his best, but the pool went green. So they call us up, and I went out for this one. They
Right.
call us up, and the pool's green. So I said, okay, but they don't want to hire us for maintenance.
Right.
And so I said, okay, well, that's what we're going to do. And, you know, I get the pool, the water's crystal clear. And I get a call a month later. The pool is green. And so I go back out there and I'm like, look, you're calling me out here every month to fix your green pool. Why don't you just hire me? I'll be out here every week and the pool will never go green. But what was funny was the regional supervisor was there and she was yelling, emergency PO, emergency PO. Whatever I asked for, she said, emergency PO, get it paid right now, get this done.
That's so funny.
And it was hysterical.
Do you have maybe like a couple recommendations of different maintenance companies that you particularly like?
Yeah,
that you can help?
there's some really great ones out there. And one last thought I did want to touch. Don't shop on price. You know, don't start with price, finish on price, because at the end of the day, the cheapest guy is going to cost you the most money.
Right.
It just ends up that way. I'm sorry to say it. So what you're looking for is reliability. When you call, do they answer the phone? If they don't answer right away, can they call you back within an hour or two? So reliability is the biggest thing. Knowledge, obviously, is a big thing too, and trustworthiness, meaning you've got someone walking around your backyard.
Right.
Now, if you looked out your window and there was some strange guy walking around your backyard, you're calling the police. But you've got this with a pool guy. So it has to be a company that you feel comfortable with walking around your backyard.
Right.
Some great companies out there is a company called Pool Serve. I love them. And also Signature Pools. Really feel good about those guys as well. They do great work and they can open the pool. They can do all the repairs that you need, renovations.
That's great.
And we do La Jolla Pools does big renovations.
Okay.
Some of the smaller renovations, we hand those off to other companies.
What would you say the two most common mistakes folks make when getting a pool in their backyard?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So you've got your pool. The first, most common mistake is not maintaining it properly. You've just spent all this money on this. And as I said, if this water chemistry isn't right, what's going to happen next is that it will start, if in the case in the plaster, it could start leaching the materials out of the plaster. It could go green, any number of things. And like I said, it's always easy until it's not. And if the guy is good, it looks really easy. You don't really even understand what he does, but it always looks great. That's the guy you want.
Right.
And so some of the most common mistakes is going to be maintenance, and it's also going to be maintaining the proper chemistry in the water. One of the things the pool guy should do is you should brush the walls down, make sure there's no algae growing, because algae grows. It just does. And so the big thing is we brush down the pool walls, make sure it gets filtered out properly, and these sort of things. So maintenance and ongoing maintenance is a big thing, and I've seen it. And I do want to tell this story. So we had a customer that needed a new pool pump. So we go out, we replace the pool pump, and this was a different company. It wasn't La Jolla Pools, it was another company. But we replaced the pool pump, and so his pool was green. It looked like the Black Lagoon, and I expect a monster to come out of it, right? It was bad. So then he asked me, Tim, can you fix this for me? I said, yeah, what we're going to do is we'll drain the pool, we'll acid wash it, because this was in bad shape.
Yeah.
We'll acid wash it, we'll refill it, we'll balance it. We're going to have to do a couple of filter cleans, and you're good. So then he calls up and he said, I don't really want to pay for it. How about if I did the filter clean? I said, well, you could do that. You could pour the chemicals in, you can get it clear, you can do multiple filter cleans and do it yourself. It could be done. And so he said, I'm going to do that. Okay, great. So then about 2 weeks later, I got a call from Tim. Tim, I've got a real problem. I need you to call me back immediately. I call him right back. And he's like, I disassembled the filter and I can't put it back together. What do I do now? How do these grids go back
it's gonna
together?
cost me twice as much as if I would just drain the pool.
Exactly. And that's, we see that a lot. Everything when someone knows what they're doing, it
Yeah.
always looks easy.
It's always better to do it right the first time.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
100%.
and you possibly could file your own 747, but I wouldn't recommend
Right.
it.
So I think too, I think a really important thing that our listeners would probably want to know is what are some safety things they should consider after you've owned the pool, you're maintaining your pool. We have kids that come over sometimes, you know, we have our neighbors and different things. What are some things we can do to keep it safe?
Yeah, another great question. So, safety is paramount, especially around
Right.
water. And so, you know, there's fencing and stuff that you put in. You can put fencing around the pool or
Mhm.
around your yard and maintaining your fencing to make
Right.
sure that that area is secure. What we're seeing, and this is dual, has a dual purpose, we're getting a lot of questions about energy efficiency. How do I heat my pool economically? So what we recommend is there's a certain factor to heating your pool. Gas
Right.
is the most efficient.
Yep.
Electric is probably the more expensive one, and there's some people that are doing some interesting things with heat pumps.
Okay.
But once you get that pool, that body of water at temperature, the best thing you do is maintain the temperature. The way we do that is we put a cover over it.
Right.
Now, we've all seen covers on spas, and those
Yeah.
work great. We also have covers on pools, and they're
Right.
automatic, that you push a button, the cover goes over. This is a safety feature because I've seen covers that people can actually walk on.
Okay.
So, and the big thing we have is I get a lot of calls about their dogs. Their
Yeah.
dog fell in the pool,
Oh.
you know, and their dog fell in the pool again. And so my thought is, well, let's put a cover over the
Right.
pool, and Fluffy can then run across it as he
That's
wants.
awesome. I love that. Let's talk about smart technology because I know that there's some really cool things out with pools and technology and being able to use that to help be more efficient as well. Could you touch on that?
Perfect. Yeah. So smart technology is really interesting now, where you can actually. Let me touch base on the maintenance of the pool. So at a certain point, we need to turn every molecule of water over at least once a day. For commercial pools, we turn them over 3 times a day.
Okay.
And so typically it takes about 6 hours. We set our pumps and such that you can turn that pool over for 6 hours, which
Right.
means you should run that pump for 6 hours every day. A commercial pool, which is HOAs, apartment buildings, those sort of things, they have to turn the water over 3 times a day, which they run it for 18 hours.
Wow.
Most of those customers run them straight 24.
Okay.
So now with the smart technology, this goes into it where we have automated chlorine feeders.
Okay.
We have automated sensing of what the pool chemistry is. So, and then this connects to your smartphone.
That's great.
As today, what doesn't?
Yeah.
You can turn on lights, you can turn on the heat from your smartphone, you can do everything from that phone. One of the things that's interesting is you're at work and you know it's been a long day, you want to do a spa treatment. You can turn your spa heater on.
Right.
And come home 45 minutes later and that spa is perfect and it's waiting for you.
I love
So
that.
this is some of the great smart technology out there. It's you know, form meets function.
Yeah.
And there's just some great stuff out there.
Well, speaking of heating, you know, a lot of folks want to heat their pools. Do you have any recommendations on what kind of heater they might want?
You know,
and
at
going
this-
about getting that?
In this day and age, it's still gas. Gas
Okay.
is the best, most efficient heater you can get out there. So some of the more commercial grade heaters are 400,000 BTUs.
Right.
And we've had calls for and that, let's just say that 400,000 BTUs you're going to buy for about $4,500. The numbers are fungible,
Yeah.
but you get the idea. So then the next thing is, well, you want to do something with a heat pump. Okay, heat pumps work, but instead of 400,000 BTUs, you're buying about 30 to 60,000 BTUs.
Okay.
So really small, and it's twice the price. It's 8,000. Now, I've had people call me and say, I just installed electric solar panels. I need to burn this power. What can I
Right.
do? Okay, you can use a heat pump because if the electricity is free.
Yeah.
This is one way to use it.
That's great.
And that's a design that can work too. But for right now, gas is still king.
Gas is king. So there's one last thing I want to touch on before we end our live. I want to talk about landscaping, like ADUs, just touching on some of the added features that folks can do along with their pool.
Yeah, perfect. So this is hardscaping that we're really looking at, where the ATU goes then into the pool. I mean, one of them is obviously you can put concrete into the
Yep.
pool. Another thing is you can put pavers there as
Okay.
well. And there's some really nice hardscape features that you can put out there with palm trees and what have you, as you see fit. But I love the idea of this ADU being the new pool house.
Right.
And you know, it used to be the pool house was maybe one room with a bathroom in it where, you know, you can shower either inside or out. But now it's an ADU, and some of the cool things too is you can put an outside shower out there.
Yeah.
And you can enclose it such that you've got privacy, but there's something about showering outside in private, you know, that it's great. And like I said, humans being north of 80% water, we all identify with water one way or another.
Absolutely.
And this is a way to tie this, you know, your home. And this ADU can, you know, we used to call them granny flats, ADUs or whatever. A lot of people are doing them with Airbnbs now. So they're Airbnb-ing that out. And they have, you know, people staying there, people have access to the pool, but the house still has full privacy.
Yeah.
So this is another way to kind of amortize the cost of your pool.
I love that. Well, Tim, you have a plethora of information when it comes to pools. That was really great. I feel like I know a lot more about pools and building a pool and maybe constructing one in my backyard for our clients. I think that they're going to be definitely calling you because you're the man when it comes to that for sure. If a client, one of our clients or one of our listeners wanted to reach you, how would they go about doing that?
Just give me a call. You know, there's a website, which is lajollapools.com. You can call me personally at 858-286-8274. I'll answer.
Perfect.
Especially since I said you have to look for a guy that answers. So now
he will definitely be answering his phone.
I have to be held accountable.
Well, thank you again so much. I really appreciate you being here. It was just such a great interview, such great information. I really, really appreciate that. So
Perfect,
thank you so
Christina.
much.
Thank you so much for having me, and I enjoy giving knowledge to the community out there.
This is Christina with San Diego Real Estate Live. Please like, follow, and share, and we will see you on the other side. See you next week. Bye.